Hello friends. So in this video I'm going to talk about integrated information theory. So if you're interested in non-duality, idealism, and you follow these the scientific discussion around it, these new idealists coming out, people going from materialism to idealism, like Christof Koch, who is a neuroscientist, and for many years he was a materialist, but he's kind of friends with Bernardo Kastrup now. So you've probably heard about integrated information theory, so IIT. I'm going to explain what I understand about it. So I'm an English teacher. I'm not an expert. So go and find a better video. But anyway, I'll tell you what I understand of it. So first, it's based on 5 axioms. These axioms are based, rather than looking at, for example, you look at the brain and you say, well, the brain clearly produced consciousness, and then you look at a computer and you say, well, if we can copy what the brain does, if we can imitate it, then it will be conscious. So this is a functional approach. Now, what IIT does, integrated information theory, is that it starts off with a phenomenological approach. So from a first person point of view, describing what exactly is consciousness, rather than saying that this produces consciousness, so this must produce consciousness also. It starts off looking at what is consciousness. And they've got 5 axioms. So the axioms are that it exists for itself, it's integrated, but this is not just like computational power put together. It's integrated in a way that is more than the individual parts. So this is like when you bake a cake. You put the eggs and the flour and the sugar, and you can't, after it's been baked, you can't separate them. It's integrated, and it's more than the separate parts. Then it's got information. Now, this information is not traditional, what we would understand, normal people would understand as information. This apparently is called Shannon information, the normal information that you transmit information. But it's comes from a traditional definition of information coming from the Latin informare, so to give form to something. So it's kind of this, it comes together, it's integrated, and it's got this kind of this unique form about it. Then it's exclusive, or it excludes other things. So when you're conscious of one thing, you're not conscious of something else. It's composed of elements that come together. So you might have sights, sounds, smells, and taste, but it's integrated into this one whole experience that cannot be separated. And then, so there's existence, information, integration, exclusion, and composition. So that's what it is. So they start off with these axioms, and the idea is that they try to see what's the best way to build a mathematical model, scientific model from these things. And so they decided that the thing that fits best, that does the same thing, is causal, intrinsic causal power. So they measure this intrinsic causal power as phi, so this Greek letter phi. Now, it comes out as, it sounds like they're saying that phi measures consciousness, but phi is actually measuring causal power. Now, the whole point of this video is to approach it from a non-dualistic viewpoint. So the first problem is that if it's measuring phi, it's not measuring phi, it's measuring this causal power. Now, if that, and they say this is identical to consciousness, so therefore you're kind of measuring consciousness indirectly. Now, according to Advaita Vedanta, non-duality, non-dualism, you can't measure consciousness. There's no more or less consciousness. It's not like more consciousness in me and less consciousness in an insect. It's the same consciousness, but of course the consciousness is observing a more complex structure. So maybe what they're doing is they're measuring all these things like. It's actually measuring not really consciousness, not really the subjective viewpoint, so Brahman, because Brahman is unchanging, it doesn't have any parts. Although integrated information theory, yes, it's also about being integrated. So they say that consciousness, although it's composed of parts, it is kind of one unified whole. But Brahman also doesn't cause anything. The fact that we see stuff is an illusion. Now, maybe in Kashmiri Shaivism, they maybe see it more differently. But certainly in classical Advaita Vedanta, Brahman is this observer that is not touched by anything that it observes. And what is observed, although it's made of Brahman, made of the ultimate reality, made of consciousness, it's an illusion, really. We're seeing it, we're not seeing it as it really is. We're seeing a snake when really it's a rope. So they're measuring this intrinsic causal power, and it's not the same kind of causal power like the United States of America has, where they can control. They have a lot of power and can cause lots of things happen. No, it's kind of an integrated. It's causal power, which is that restricts itself, has an ability to restrict itself and to restrict its future states. So it's not really the ability to cause other things externally to happen. It's talking about this intrinsic causality. Now, so it doesn't really fit with Advaita Vedanta, as far as I can see, because there's no increase or decrease. This thigh value, which is measuring consciousness indirectly, is, you can't measure consciousness. It might be measuring part of the illusion, part of Maya, but it can't, we can't put value on consciousness. So why does Bernardo Kastrup, this idealist, like it so much? This is because it's a rigorous mathematical model, scientific model, to model causal power. Yeah. Now, Bernardo Kastrup, as I said in one of my previous videos, he's got a different idea of causality. He thinks that on our dashboard, what we see as the world, this is a representation of something mental, of course, in mind, because he's an idealist. But things don't affect each other on the dashboard. So his metaphor is that the pilot is flying an airplane, and he has dials on the dashboard, and so it might be humidity and air pressure, and as the plane goes up or goes down, so it goes down, the air pressure it gets more dense, and then the humidity also increases. Now, from what we see on this dashboard, that is the world we observe, we see one thing happen, and then another thing happen shortly after, and we say one thing, because it always happens that way, we say one thing causes the other thing to happen, when in reality they're not causing each other to happen at all. The real cause, is something which is outside our dissociative boundary. And so what he says is that when we measure, when we model this causal power, we're actually modeling the real causal power. So not this causal power that we see it's kind of an enfolded causal power which is built into the system and is the real thing that's causing everything to happen that we see on this dashboard. So in this way, it gives us a way to model what is outside our dissociative boundary. So actually, I even heard him say, you can model the noumenon. Now, I don't know. I still think probably it's modeling part of what there is in that we observe. So it's not measuring the noumenon, the thing in itself. It's actually measuring part of the phenomenal world still, but maybe not. I mean, I'm, as I said at the beginning of the video, I'm an English teacher, so. So tell me what you think. Do you think that this he's onto something, and this could be something that we could use maybe to model what is outside our dissociative boundary, if you believe in the dissociative boundary? He gives he also says something that it's a bit like in a black hole. Now, we can never observe what's in a black hole, but we can model it. And this is what it gives us access to. If we can model it, we may be able to make predictions. If we can make predictions and, repeat repeat the results, then it's actually a scientific approach to measuring this. So that's my understanding. I think he might be onto something, but I'm not sure. Maybe I'm missing something. But please put a comment in the put a comment in the video if you want to add your opinion. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.